Welcome back to the Coins Numismatic Series. Today we're diving into a coin that millions of Americans have handled without ever realizing the deeper story hiding beneath its surface. This is one of those quietly fascinating coins, easy to overlook, yet full of history, symbolism, and collector intrigue. If you've ever wondered whether a simple nickel from the 1980s could hold more importance than you think, stick around, because today's feature will open your eyes. We're exploring the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel, minted in Philadelphia, carrying the iconic Monticello reverse and found in fine condition. Whether you're a dedicated numismatist or someone with a jar full of old change at home, this is a coin worth understanding. And by the end of this video, you might just rush to check your own stash to see if you've been sitting on one of these all along. Let's dive into its history, its features, the mintage, market value, and even the errors collectors dream of finding. This is going to be a fun and fascinating ride through one of America's most iconic nickel issues. The opening flows into the main narrative, breaking down the story of the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel, a coin deeply rooted in U.S. monetary and cultural history. The Jefferson Nickel series began in 1938, replacing the earlier Buffalo nickel that had circulated since the early 20th century. In 1984, the design was still very much the classic version introduced decades earlier, featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. This design, created by sculptor Felix Schlag, remained unchanged until the Westward Journey nickel program began in 2004. That means the 1984 P nickel falls squarely within the traditional era of Jefferson nickel production, an era collectors often categorize as the Monticello nickel era. The 1984 P nickel, then, is a representative of a long-lived American design. While it might not be considered rare in terms of total production numbers, it is significant for several reasons. It was minted during a time when the mint was modernizing its processes, when U.S. coinage was growing increasingly consistent and high volume, and when nickel circulation remained essential to everyday commerce. On the obverse of the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel is the right-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. Schlag's design captures Jefferson with a thoughtful, resolute expression, wearing a coat with a high collar. The portrait is not merely a likeness, but a symbolic representation of Jefferson as statesman, philosopher, and founding father. Above Jefferson's portrait is the inscription, "In God We Trust," part of the mandated national mottos appearing on all U.S. coinage. To the left of Jefferson's profile is the word liberty, written in a flowing script along with the date, 1984. To the right of the date is the mint mark, P, identifying the coin as being produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint's use of the P mint mark on nickels began in 1980, making the 1984 P part of the early years in which Philadelphia marked its nickels consistently. Prior to 1980, nickels minted in Philadelphia carried no mint mark, so the presence of the P mint mark is historically relevant for collectors tracking this change in minting conventions. Turning the coin over, the reverse features the image of Monticello, Jefferson's treasured home in Virginia. Schlag's representation of Monticello is elegant in its simplicity, a clean, neoclassical building with its dome, columns, and clear architectural symmetry. Above the building is the inscription, E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one, another long-standing motto of the United States. Below the image of Monticello is the word Monticello, with 5 cents beneath that, and finally, United States of America at the bottom. The entire reverse design reflects grandeur, balance, and national pride, echoing Jefferson's own architectural and intellectual interests. The composition of the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel is also important to note. Like all standard nickels minted since 1946, the coin is made of a copper-nickel alloy known as cupronickel, 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters and weighing 5 grams. This composition has remained virtually unchanged for decades, giving the Jefferson nickel a durability and distinct appearance recognized by generations of Americans. The mintage numbers for 1984 tell an important part of the story. The Philadelphia Mint struck an impressive total of over 1.4 billion Jefferson nickels that year. Such a large quantity makes the 1984 P nickel far from rare in circulated condition. Even today, 1984 nickels still show up in pocket change. However, while the coin is common in worn grades, examples in high mint state condition, especially with strong strikes, are much rarer and more desirable to collectors. A fine condition example, such as the one featured here, shows moderate wear but retains all key design elements. Jefferson's face, hair, and coat details are visible though softened with circulation. The inscriptions remain legible, and the Monticello details on the reverse, though less sharp, still reflect the structure clearly enough. Fine condition is a mid-grade circulated level, not enough to command high premiums, but still valuable to collectors assembling circulated sets. Despite the enormous mintage, the value of a 1984 P. Jefferson nickel varies depending on grade. In fine condition, it typically holds a value close to face value, around 5 cents. However, for collectors seeking examples for educational, thematic, or date and mint mark sets, even circulated coins remain important. The real value climbs as condition improves. In higher grades, especially uncirculated mint state 65 and above, the 1984 P nickel can jump from modest value to several dollars or more. High-quality specimens with exceptional strike sharpness and clean surfaces can command prices up to $20 or even more at auctions. It's not that the coin is rare, it's that preserving a flawless nickel in mass circulation is extremely difficult, making pristine examples special. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1984 P. Jefferson nickel involves errors and variations. Error collectors often focus on this year because the early to mid-1980s, across many denominations, saw various minting anomalies slip through the massive production lines. Among the errors found on 1984 nickel examples, some of the most noteworthy include off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank is not perfectly positioned under the dies, resulting in part of the design missing. Off-center errors ranging from 5% to 50% can be worth a few dollars, while dramatic ones exceeding 50% off-center can bring premiums of $40 or more depending on eye appeal and visibility. Another error type involves die cracks and die breaks. These errors appear as raised lines on the coin's surface, caused by fractures forming in aging dies used to strike the coin. While minor die cracks add small collectible interest, larger or more dramatic die breaks can bring more attention, particularly in coins where the crack crosses Jefferson's portrait or Monticello in visually striking ways. A more significant type of variety found in some Jefferson nickels, including some known cases in the early 1980s, is the full steps designation on the reverse. Although far rarer in 1984 P nickels, collectors always search for coins where the steps of Monticello appear fully struck with all lines visible. A 1984 P with full steps in a high mint state grade can become quite valuable, sometimes exceeding $100. Most nickels from this year are weakly struck on the steps, making a fully detailed example a prized collector target. Strike doubling or minor die deterioration doubling may also appear in some examples. While these are not true doubled dies, they sometimes attract interest from casual collectors. Outside of errors, the 1984 P nickel has collector significance because many numismatists collect Jefferson nickels by date and mint mark, often including circulated examples. This makes even common dates essential for completing sets. The 1984 P nickel is part of the decade-long 1980s series many hobbyists put into albums, meaning there is always demand for presentable examples in grades like fine, very fine, or extremely fine. Historically, the 1984 nickel also reflects the broader context of U.S. coinage and economy during the mid-1980s, a period marked by recovery, modernization, and increased consumer spending. Nickels saw heavy circulation, making 1,984 nickel survivors of multiple years of daily use. Coins from this era are tied to memories of vending machines, arcade tokens, and pre-digital economic life, giving them nostalgic value for collectors. The design significance of the Jefferson nickel also cannot be overstated. It is one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. For decades, Americans associated the nickel with Jefferson's legacy and Monticello's architectural beauty. By 1984, the coin had already been in circulation for nearly half a century, and it would continue another 20 years before significant design changes emerged. For collectors, the charm of the 1984 P nickel lies not in rarity, but in what it represents: continuity, historical design, and the enduring presence of Jefferson in American currency. It is a coin accessible to everyone, whether pulled from change or found in bulk coin lots. Yet it offers enough depth, through varieties, errors, and condition rarity, to keep seasoned collectors searching. In closing, the 1984 P Monticello Jefferson Nickel, with the P mint mark and in fine condition, stands as a classic representation of mid-20th century American coinage continuing into the modern era. Its design honors one of the most influential figures in American history. Its inscriptions reflect national identity. Its mintage tells the story of the U.S. Mint's industrial strength. And its collectability offers a rewarding experience for hobbyists of all levels. If you come across one of these nickels in your pocket change, take a moment to appreciate it. Look closely at Monticello's steps. Examine Jefferson's profile. You might discover an error, a strong strike, or even a hidden treasure waiting to be recognized. Coins like the 1984 P nickel remind us why numismatics remains such a captivating adventure. Every coin holds a story, and even the ones that seem ordinary can reveal something extraordinary.